Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Whitlock, and I am so excited to be part of the eCom Power Summit. We are so glad that you're here, and we are glad that you're participating in this awesome summit. We do want to thank Nechole and also Norm Farrer for being such amazing and gracious hosts and for sharing this information with all of you. I hope that you get value in what I'm going to be talking about today. So with that, we are talking about how improving your productivity can increase your profitability. So again, for me, productivity is tied directly to like consistency and planning. And in order to be more productive, you have to be intentional about what it is you're going to do in your business, what you're going to be focusing your energy on, where all your time is going to be spent, and how that time is going to be spent. So we're going to talk about those types of things and tie it back to productivity and your profitability and how those two really do work hand in hand when it comes to your e-commerce business. So a little bit about me. I am the creator and co-founder of all things eCom Sellers related. I run the eCom Seller Summit, eCom Q4 Summit, eCom Sellers Academy, eCom Sellers Mastery. I created the eCom Planner and the 90-day eCom Planners as well for Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Walmart, Shopify. I am a single mom of two special needs kiddos. They're teens now. And I'm also the vice president of a nonprofit. I am very grateful for the work that we do. So again, me and my family, these are my two boys from when they were little until they got older. Along the journey, because they required so much additional assistance and support, I kind of ran a couple of fundraisers, did a couple of walks in order to raise money for them. But yes, these are my boys. And then my passion below is our nonprofit. And we've done TV and radio. We've done all kinds of like promotions for different candidates, believe it or not. And so the president is the young lady that's in the middle, and I'm standing next to her with a little happy face. And again, those are my two boys. We need a more recent picture. But just kind of giving you a little bit of idea, I've been on this e-commerce journey since really, I've been selling since about 2008, but I kind of jumped into the e-commerce journey with eBay around 2013, 2014. So with that, the one thing about this journey is that, sometimes you feel like you're alone because you're a solopreneur and you're doing this by yourself. And all along the way, I've met some amazing people. I've built some really good friendships and built some really good partnerships. And so that is one of the things that has actually helped me keep going. When I'm at home by myself, working my business, you don't feel like you're alone when you build relationships with others. So I encourage you, if you haven't connected with anybody in this Facebook group, that you do that, or find maybe an accountability buddy to help keep you on track as you work to improve maybe your consistency, maybe your productivity. I don't know where you want to focus your energy, but though having a buddy that kind of can check in with you from time to time and you can check in with them is really great. And I have an amazing business partner. The next thing is your mindset along this journey. So having the support on this journey. And let me just say this. Facebook groups like the Selling on Walmart Facebook group is a great way, a great place to potentially build some friendships so that you can have that support. That's the reason why that Facebook group was created. In addition to that, joining different masterminds like the Walmart Mastermind is another way to build those relationships, because again, that helps to keep you going when you get stuck, when you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You get frustrated with the platforms. And trust me, if you haven't gotten frustrated with the platforms, your day is coming. Even people who are 7 and 8 figure sellers are like, oh, okay, we got to deal with this now. And then they adjust and they move on. So that part of adjusting and being able to move on and not allowing it to consume you is part of your mindset. And your mindset on this journey is extremely important. We're not going to get into mindset. We're going to really focus on, building a plan and also executing that plan so that we can be more productive. But your mindset really does matter. So the reason we all get into this sort of business is, of course, to try and get some freedom from maybe you got a 9 to 5, freedom from whatever you may have going on in your personal life, or maybe you just need some money to be able to keep the lights on and keep water coming out of your faucet. But there's a reason why we all got into it. And as part of this journey, getting organized in your business and treating it like a real business is key to being able to make the progress that you want to make. Let me just tell you, I've listened to every single session in this summit, every single session, and there is a wealth of gold in every single session. But if you do not execute, if you do not take what you've learned, one golden nugget from each speaker, and execute it or implement it, then, it's all for naught. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your business. You have a bunch of gold that has been laid before you. It is up to you to pick up one coin at a time and take a step forward and to start executing some of the things that you learn. You can only do one at a time. Don't try to do 5, but one at a time, executing that. So we're going to talk about that one at a time. So we all get into this business and, we're solopreneurs. And when we think about, okay, we're in business for ourselves, we're in business by ourselves, we own the business, we run the business, we make all the decisions. And so we're responsible for everything. We are the boss. And so I want you to embrace that and to own it as an e-commerce seller, as a business owner. You are the boss. You make all the decisions, good, bad, or indifferent. You make the decisions, you drive what happens with your business. Some decisions we make outside of those decisions, there's some things that are completely out of our control, like today was technology. But the point is that we figure out how to roll with the punches in the middle of this. So the sad reality, or the funny part of this, is really not funny at the time, is that when we are on this journey, we kind of like, okay, some days are good, some days are bad. Some things are good, some things are bad. Today is like ironic that I'm talking about this, but the point is that there are things that happen in our business. Sometimes the shipments aren't on time. Sometimes our listings get flagged or get taken down. Sometimes our product that we selected doesn't sell. Sometimes the listing we created has some challenges. Sometimes the pricing is off. Sometimes the shipping goes up on things. Sometimes our supplier runs out of inventory. Like, oh my God, like the number of things. Or if we're creating a private label product, like something maybe goes wrong with the manufacturer or the distributor. There's a number of things that are part of this journey. Just like everyday life, stuff happens. And as an entrepreneur, it gets frustrating, it gets annoying. And the goal is for us to just keep going in the midst of it all, figuring out how to move forward. So the bad part of this is that as an entrepreneur, all of the stress is on you, the anxiety, sometimes the blame, customers get mad about stuff, you get negative feedback as part of the journey. Embrace that. Stuff doesn't work. I love the session that was last night's live Q&A at 6:30. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. Listen to at least the first 30 minutes of it. But basically, the goal in life is to fail quickly so that you can get better at other things. You can get better at what it is. Learn the lesson quickly, make adjustments, and keep going. Failure is part of the journey. We all have failed a lot, especially as little kids and infants. Like we failed when we learned how to walk. Okay, we fell down a whole bunch of times. We're trying to feed ourselves. Like most of the food ended up on the floor and on top of the high chair, and very little of it made its way into our mouth. The first time we put on our clothes by ourselves, like, okay, that's not the head opening, that is the arm opening. So my point is that we have all failed at different things, whether we realize it or not. It was a learning experience. And that's the one thing about this journey, is that I just want to encourage you that even though things may not have gone the way you wanted them so far, this is a learning journey. So make sure that on the other side of this, that when you do have successes, that you share it. And especially if you have a buddy that go with you on this journey, that makes it so much easier to have someone to support you along this journey. When you have a windfall in profits, you have a golden product that is just like selling like hotcakes, and you're like, oh my gosh, we take all the credit for the success in our business. We also have to take credit for the failures. It's okay. And we also celebrate all the victories alone or with others. It's so much more fun when it's with others, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to celebrate by ourselves. It's all right to dance when nobody's watching. It's okay to do that. And we also get the financial windfall of all of the profits that come with this journey. So I want you to embrace all all areas, all pieces, all aspects of this journey, because it's not just one thing, it's many things that are part of this journey. And it's made up of so many different pieces. So we're going to talk about that just briefly. So your mindset on this journey is extremely important. I, for some reason, thought that I had already taken this out, and I didn't really want to get too deep into mindset, but I clearly have at the beginning of this. And so it's all of your beliefs. Your beliefs become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits, and your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And so what we're going to focus on is our actions and our habits. Our actions and our habits can change everything about what happens in our business and how it works. Okay. So, last wrap up, I hope, on mindset, which is whether or not you have a growth or a fixed mindset. You have to believe that it is possible. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to speak life into your business. You have to speak life into this journey, because again, there's going to be days where things do not go your way. Trust me, I know that. And there are going to be days in which everything feels like it's all coming together, and that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, again, it's about making a little bit of progress, little by little, inch by inch. Over time, you're going to see those rewards. Sometimes we like for it to happen really fast, like a plane taking off. And there are times where there are people that things have happened really fast for them. And there are others that have been on this journey, a slow burn, for 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. And then they hit that, they hit that windfall. And that's wonderful when that happens. So if you have a fixed mindset, I just want to encourage you to rethink how you see things and when things are happening to you in your business, and persevere through that, because again, it's part of the journey. So embrace it. All right. So entrepreneurs, they have all of these. These are all the characteristics of an entrepreneur. And if you feel like, okay, there's some things that I'm challenged with, maybe you write that down as something you want to focus on. Maybe tackle them one at a time, once a month. And that is one of the things that we're going to talk about today, which is tackling one of these things once a month, one at a time, so that way you can get to the place that you're supposed to be at. Because if entrepreneurship came to you, this is what you're supposed to do. So the goal is to stick with it and not to stop, start, and go do something else, and oh, this doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. Let's stick with it. Let's make it work for us. All right. So some of the habits of an entrepreneur that is an e-commerce seller is that they are intentional with their time, money, and resources. If you feel like that's not something that you've been doing with your business, that you have not been intentional with your time, money, and resources, then this is one of those areas that you've got to fix and you've got to correct. How much time you're investing into your business, what are you doing when you're investing that time into your business, and realizing and recognizing that investing in yourself is also part of your growth journey in this business. Getting the all access pass so that you have the opportunity to go back and listen to this over and over again. When you are working alone by yourself, there's nothing like playing something in the background that's going to help you stay focused and motivated as you go every single day. And then also being mindful of what resources. There's so many amazing subscriptions that Nechole has been able to get these awesome companies to share with you. And so if you are blessed to be able to get one of those subscriptions, make sure you activate it and use it. Use it in real time so that you can start to see the difference in your business. There are some tools that I encourage people, like when you first get started on this journey, that you need to be profitable a little bit before you start investing in a bunch of tools, so that you have that opportunity to, make some money, and then reinvest that money back into your business. But again, being intentional with where you spend your time, what you focus on, how much of your time do you invest in your business? What are the things that you're doing? And then the money that you're spending, that inventory that you're buying, making as much as you can, and based on research, making as many meaningful decisions when it comes to sourcing and inventory and what you're going to invest in. And then also resources, whether or not you're going to use tools to help you to be successful in this business, whether you're going to outsource to fulfillment centers, prep centers, use WFS, whatever it happens to be, hiring a VA, all of those are resources. So being intentional about how you spend those. None of those decisions are by accident. They should be intentional. and have meaning behind them and a goal and an objective that's tied to them. So you're doing this for how long and for what reason? The other characteristic is that an entrepreneur is also a student. They get a schedule or build a schedule. We make time for what's important. We make time for things that are going to impact our lives and impact our business. So if the lights get turned off in your house, you're going to make time to figure out how to get them back on, regardless of what else is going on. If your car has a flat tire, you're going to stop and have to deal with it right now. So the goal is always to not have to deal. If you're doing that, you're living in what I refer to as a reactionary state. You're reacting to stuff that's happening to you. And so one of the great things about planning is that you're going to in most cases, you're going to build a schedule so that life doesn't just happen to you if you feel like that's where you are in this journey. If you're not one of those people that life doesn't just happen to you, then that's fantastic. But if you feel like sometimes life is happening to you a lot, then maybe there's some things that you can put into place, like building a better schedule and doing a little more planning so that these things are not surprises. So we're being intentional about, hey, I'm going to check the tires twice a year, or I'm going to go get an oil change every 3 months, or I'm going to go so that way I am not stuck. Now, that doesn't mean something's not going to happen anyway, but the point is that you're making time for something that you don't have time to deal with in a reactionary state later. That's an important thing. Being committed to the business. There's so many different opportunities out here, whether you switch from one thing to another, there's so many opportunities, and people make decisions. People make decisions on, what they want to do, what type of e-commerce or what type of entrepreneur they want to be, what is the business they want to be in. And sometimes they get distracted and they go after the shiny object. And so they switch, and I'm going to do this now. And then I'm going to do this that didn't work. I did it for 2 weeks. Now I'm going to go do something else. And then that didn't work. So I did that for 3 months and that didn't work. So I'm going to go do something else. I have been on this e-commerce journey, like I said, since 2014. Nechole and Norm have been on this e-commerce journey for a very long time. And so what you will find is those people that are making the kind of money that you potentially want to make have probably been on this journey and been committed to the journey for a very long time. They are not easily distracted. They don't easily put it down. They do deal with the challenges and the frustrations and the things, the issues that come up, but they also celebrate their successes along the way. So if that's a life that you would like to experience, then you got to be committed to the journey. They're consistent. That is probably the biggest part of this journey, is they're consistent and they're focused. Those two things as an entrepreneur are extremely important to this journey. You have to be consistent about where you're spending your time, what you're spending your time on. You have to be focused on the business and not get distracted by the shiny objects. There will be a lot of shiny objects. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't entrepreneurs who run multiple businesses. I run multiple businesses, Norm runs multiple businesses, Nechole runs multiple businesses. But there was a time where we were focused and we made a business work, and then we built another one. And we made a business work, and maybe we built another one. And so you get something working, you get it up and running, you get it stabilized, and then you can invest time and money and energy into something else. So the book, I do not have it memorized, the title. I know it, but that's an example. Like I think he said start. I'm going to go find it real quick. The name of the book. So give me 2 seconds because I'm going to go find it. I know it. I thought the title was perfect for just what I was saying. So start, scale, exit, and repeat. So again, people who have multiple businesses, they start a business, they scale it, they exit it. Sometimes they keep it. And if they decide to keep it and then you want to take on another business, it's because they've got one of them up and running and it's sort of stabilized so that they can invest their time and money and energy into something else. And they're organized. If you feel like you're not that organized right now, then this is probably a place that may be affecting your productivity. And if you're not organized, it's definitely going to affect your profitability. I can remember working with someone on their business and they were saying, well, I don't even know if I'm making any money. And I was like, what, huh? And they were like, well, I'm getting sales, but I don't even know if I'm making any money. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. Let's just stop for a minute. You should always know where you stand in your business. You should know whether or not a product that you are selling and that it's selling regularly if you're profitable on it. There's nothing like being upside down on a product, meaning, oh, I'm getting some sales. I sold 1,000 of those, or I sold 10,000 of those. But when you do the math on how much you cost you for you to acquire it and to get it shipped here, and of course the platform fees and to get it to the customer, and then so what's the net profit on the tail end? And if you're negative, that's no bueno. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to be profitable. So you should always know your numbers. And if you don't, then you need to take a moment. And I would encourage, if you can't do it now, definitely do it later. But you should always know where you stand when it comes to your business and whether or not you are profitable. That is something that you should know. And if you don't have a good accounting system, I know ConnectBooks is supporting the summit, and there's other accounting software that's out there, but you should always know your numbers. You should always know where you stand. You should know whether or not you are profitable. So you've got to get organized. You got to know what products you should be buying, which products are not profitable. You should know fairly, in some cases, fairly quickly, but unless you're bringing something new to market, then you may not know as quickly. And you've got to do some analysis and do some test runs and maybe run some ads and things like that. But you shouldn't be working on this product 2 years later and still not know whether or not it's profitable. That's what I'm saying. So again, you should have an idea as to whether or not something is or is not profitable. So your mindset, your habits, and your consistency are the biggest drivers to whether or not you're going to be profitable as a seller. Your mindset, being able to overcome some of the obstacles and the hurdles that come with this journey, the habits, the things that you execute on a regular basis, the things that you do sort of on autopilot, those things matter. And then being consistent, repeating them over and over again so you can get the results. Scaling as you repeat is extremely important so you can get the results that you're looking for. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing is we got to increase our awareness. We got to get organized. We got to get focused. So how aware are you at what you're doing and where you're spending your time in your business? How many hours would you say that you spend every single day creating listings, or every single day doing some sourcing or doing some product research? How many hours do you spend getting shipments off to WFS or making adjustments in your pricing? How many hours do you spend doing any of the things that are going to affect your bottom line? A listing is definitely going to affect your bottom line because it's an income producing activity, because if the listing doesn't exist, you can't make money. So if the listing exists, you have the potential to make some money. Okay. Product research is important because at the end of the day, finding the right products for the right price matters, so that you can, once you create the listing, if you get some sales, that you have some profit. All of that matters. So how much of your time are you investing in the things that are actually going to impact your bottom line? Are you spending a bunch of time on product research and very little time on creating listings? Are you spending a bunch of time watching YouTube videos all day long and not actually doing anything in your business whatsoever? Are you spending a bunch of time creating shipments? And is it at some later point when you're profitable, is that something that you potentially outsource and have somebody else do that work for you? Where are you spending? Where's your time going? And if you're not working in your business the way you've always wanted to, or you saw yourself working in your way, what's distracting you? What's stopping you? Is it that you're investing time binge watching? I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan, but I can listen to it in the background. Like, are you binge watching stuff? Are you stuck on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram Reels? Or are you actually working in your business? Do you get distracted because you have a bunch of emergencies happening in your life with your kids and your family? If so, this is your opportunity to increase your awareness of that and to figure out how you can be proactive when it comes to this crazy that maybe has introduced itself to your life. What are the things that you can do differently? What can you change? What can you stop doing? And what can you start doing so that way you can gain or regain control over the crazy? Because nobody wants crazy. I don't want crazy. You don't want crazy. Nobody wants crazy. So you've got to increase your awareness of where your time and energy is going. How many hours are you committed to working in your business? You may say to your friends, I work 20 hours in my business every single week, but are you really working 20 hours? Or are you really working more like 8? So be honest with yourself. If you're not going to be honest with anybody else, be honest with yourself on how consistent you are in working in your business. And what is your most productive time of the day? Everyone has the most productive time of the day. That's that time of the day where you could get a bunch of stuff done in a very short period of time. But if you were to try and do that same thing at a completely different time in the day, it takes you like 3 times the amount of time to do the same thing. So a perfect example for me is I know that the morning, early morning is my most productive time of the day. I can burn through a bunch of stuff if I don't have any hurdles in front of me. I could literally probably get 8 hours worth of work done in 4 hours in the morning. Now, if I were to take all that work and put it in the afternoon, the evening, it's not going to happen. Like it will take me like, I don't know, in 4 hours, it would take me 8 hours to do the full 8 hours to do 8 hours worth of work in the evening. Or it could be, I have run over, I have leftover, I got to carry it over to tomorrow. So do you actually sit down in your business every single week and actually plan out your week? So that habit I implemented in my life probably, I don't know, God, I've had it for so long. It's a habit I do on autopilot. I probably implemented it way back in 2010 because I had to. So I had an autistic child who would have meltdowns and I had to organize all of his therapies and everything. So I would plan out the entire week on Sunday. I would plan out their clothes for the week. I would plan out the meal plan. I would plan that out on Saturday so I could cook on Sunday. And I would lay out their clothes for the entire week. And I would plan what I was going to work on in my business when I was sitting in the car. Because if you don't know my story, I actually built my business. I refer to it building it in the pockets. I spent a lot of time in doctor's offices and therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA therapy. And so I would be in the car a lot and I would always take my laptop and I would always have a notepad and I would be doing product research. I would be creating listings. I would be whatever I was doing, handling shipments, getting shipping labels, whatever it happened to be, in the pockets. When my kids were in therapy, they would be in therapy for 45 minutes in speech and 45 minutes for ABA. So I'm in an hour and a half, not ABA, occupational therapy. So I was in the car for like an hour and a half. So I would go check them in. And then I would stop 5 minutes before and I would go pick them up. So I really only had about an hour and 15 minutes worth of work. Time. And so I would literally work my business in the pockets every single time. And I would plan out what I was going to do. I would work on product research on Mondays. And then on Tuesday, I would order products or I would potentially pick up products. On Wednesday, I would create listings or whatever it happened to be. So I knew what I was doing every single day in my business in order to get it there. It was little by little, inch by inch, but I was being productive. With whatever little time I had, I was being productive. So when you look back at your time and where you're spending your time and your energy, are you really being productive? Are you saying that, yeah, I'm working 20 hours in my business, but you're really only working 8? So you need to go back and just have that reality check. Planning what you're going to do in your business for the week at the beginning of the week is always a good thing. The next one is budget. So do you have a budget for your business? Regardless of the method of e-commerce, whether you're doing print on demand, drop shipping, wholesale, whatever it happens to be, liquidation, it doesn't matter. You still need a budget. You need a budget to cover expenses for potentially shipping supplies, or maybe you've got inventory you need to buy, or maybe you're paying for some software or subscription every single month. Do you have a budget? And do you have any goals about how much money you want to make? Okay. So you should have a budget that's established every single week or every single month or even every single quarter. How much money am I going to invest in my business? Your numbers and what you might invest in your business. Let's just put some hypotheticals together. So let's say I want to invest $2,000 in inventory in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. But September, October, November, or maybe I flip that around, August, September, October, November. Maybe I want to spend $3,000 in inventory or $4,000 in inventory, but December, January, all the way up to July, maybe I'm just spending $2,000. So doubling that budget, do you have a strategy? Have you even thought about that? Taking what you have, and if you don't have a budget, let's just start with that. Put that on your list of things to do. Create a budget so that you know how much money you need to have in order to reinvest back into your business for inventory, or maybe for a VA, maybe for a service, or maybe for some software. We're all spending money in our business. We just don't always pay attention to how much money we're spending. And are you tracking that? You should be tracking it. So how many listings are you creating each week? We already talked about, like, what are your profit goals? How much money do you actually want to make? So sales goals, profit goals. Do you have some targets? Do you have your historical data if you've been selling for a long time? And do you go back and look at it from time to time as part of your planning strategy? So creating new listings every single week. Do you have some goals around creating listings? You should consider thinking about that. And as you're thinking about all these things, like, okay, answering the questions, do I really have any of this in place? Or do I, like, kind of haphazardly run my business and I'm not really focused on any of this? This is an opportunity for you to stop, because again, we're working on increasing our productivity so we can impact long-term our profitability. People don't get where they get without being intentional about the actions that they take in their business, and without being consistent. You have to be consistent about the actions that you take in your business if you're really wanting to get somewhere. Okay. So some other decisions, what platforms are you selling on? What's your method of e-commerce? We're talking about Walmart. Maybe you're a person that's selling on multiple platforms. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to step back, focus, and master one platform first, and investing maybe 3 months hardcore into one platform. So that way, if you want to go back and be able to run multiple platforms, master one. Make sure you know all the reports. Maybe make sure you know all the navigation. That make sure you understand, because I can tell you, I've worked with people, I've coached so many people that they don't even know, like, under which navigation they can find different things. I'm like, these platforms don't give you access to this stuff for no reason. They give it to you so you can make better business decisions, that you can improve what's happening in your business, because they need you to be successful. They need you to list products that are going to help them get more customers on their platform. So they need you to win. So are you taking advantage of everything that they're giving you access to? Are you looking at it? Are you reviewing it? Do you know where it is? Do you know how to access it? Do you know what it's for? If you don't, again, figuring that out. And then, have you applied for, like, wholesale accounts? For some of you, maybe you're doing arbitrage, and that's fine, but at some point, maybe you want to consider doing some wholesale accounts. Do you have a shipping strategy? Have you been shipping it yourself? Is that taking advantage of the best use of your time? Is it better for you to potentially consider doing a WFS? So you need to sit down and look at realistically, how much time am I actually spending on shipping? Go back and look at that, and then say, okay, if I outsource this, I'm going to buy back my time. So if I am spending 10 hours every week on shipping, that means that if I outsource that and I'm only doing shipping for 1 hour versus 10 hours, I got 9 hours I can invest somewhere else that I can scale my business even more. Okay. So something to think about. Your strategy for 2024, that's what it's supposed to say. If you don't have a strategy for 2024, when it comes to many things, when it comes to running a business, whether it is a listing strategy, sourcing strategy, product research strategy, you should be thinking about those strategies. Okay. We do have an annual e-commerce planning session coming up where we talk about all this stuff. If you're doing arbitrage, we talk about store closings all the time, and we talk about clearance and liquidation. There's always an opportunity there. Not always will it work on Walmart, but my point is that are you looking at all of the ways in which you can acquire inventory and figuring out how to incorporate that into your business? So your time is the biggest, most important part of this journey. When it comes to your productivity, how you spend your time and where you spend your time is extremely important. You need to be spending your time on things that are actually going to affect your progress in the business. So what habits do you currently have? And I just really want you to think about that. What habits do you really have in your business? How consistent are you in working your business? Do you say, I'm going to work from this time to this time in my business, but the reality is you really only work 30 minutes of that time? Do you say, my goal this week is I'm going to go find 10 new products that I could potentially source and sell? And so do you actually invest the time and energy? Do you have time set aside to go find these 10 new products that, that has low competition, has a decent ROI? Do you actually invest the time, or do you just stick with what you got? It's okay to stick with what's working. It really is, because a lot of people scale their business that way. They just scale up with what's already working, which is fantastic. But if you're looking to grow a little bit more, maybe there's an opportunity somewhere in the middle of here to add more products or to create variations of the existing products. Okay. So what types of habits are you executing every single day? Do you have a real schedule where you work in your business? A real schedule for creating listings, or you listing using a listing tool, or you using the Excel spreadsheet upload process? Do you have a process and a schedule around when you're going to do sourcing or product research or keyword research? Do you have a time set aside when you're going to do administrative tasks? I think that one is the biggest one that people avoid. That's the one where I'm talking to people all the time where they go, well, I really don't know if I'm making any money in my business. I don't know how you are even running a business if you don't know if you're profitable. You got to make time to do the accounting side of the business, and or just look at the numbers, look at the data to know whether or not something is working. You have to stop and make time for those things. So do you have pockets of time in your schedule where you set aside to actually be able to look at that and analyze it? Or are you challenged with actually just finding the time to do the business? Because you've got your household and you've got a spouse and you've got kids and you got to take kids to practice and you got the dog and you got yeah, I understand. So maybe your life is finding those realistic pockets of time where I can work on product research for 45 minutes, 4 days a week in this window right here. And I have another window where I can work on creating listings in this window. And I have another window. Do you have to, some people have to do that. That is how I built my business, because I didn't have a choice. Single mom, you got to do what you got to do. So, but if you're a person that's lucky enough that you have scaled your business enough where you don't have to do that, that's fantastic. Maybe there are ways in which you can now expand on what you're doing. So if you're doing everything yourself, or you're responsible for all the listings and you do all the shipments and you do all of the everything else, maybe this is an opportunity for you to start looking at, do I start bringing in some VAs now? Do I outsource to a prep center so I can buy back that time and get better at sourcing? I get better at the listings that I create. I get better at, maybe I create my own private label product. So again, is that an opportunity for you? So the things that are, of course, the income generating, income producing activities is, number one is always listing. There are those that will say there are other income producing and income generating activities, and I agree that there are, but none of that matters. You can do all the product research in the world. You could go buy all the products in the world, but it does you no good. They will just sit wherever they sit if a listing doesn't exist. So a listing has to exist somewhere in order for you to make money, okay? It has to exist somewhere. Even if you bought it for the sole purpose of selling the entire pallet to another seller, it's got to exist on some other platform, unless you guys are buddies and you're like, okay, I'm going to go buy this and then I'll just sell it to you. Okay. So listing is extremely important. And do you have that on your schedule anywhere in your life? If you don't, go do that, because that's going to definitely affect your productivity. Number two, shipping, whether you're shipping it yourself or whether you're sending it in to WFS, or you're using a completely different fulfillment center or service like Deliver or whatever, shipping, you got to follow through. Even if you're not doing it yourself, just checking in on shipping. Do you check in on the shipping, or do you just trust that everything is going to work the way you expect it to work, and magically it always does, but then there's that one time that there was a hiccup? Sourcing is extremely important, extremely important. So again, sourcing is important and product research is important. And do you have that on your schedule? I normally have those as separate blocks because product research and keyword research are different activities than actually going to go acquire the whatever, whether I got to go create a wholesale account or I'm going to go out and source at a store or whatever it happens to be. It's a different activity. And then dealing with customer service and returns and reviews and feedback and all that other stuff. Do you actually have time on your schedule where you do that? Or do you just randomly react to it when stuff happens? So if you have dedicated time to do that, that would be better. Maybe it's 15 minutes every single day, or maybe it's 30 minutes every single day. You just check in to see what's happening with the reviews and any returns and customer feedback and customer questions and blah, 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 blah. Or maybe you outsource that to somebody else and buy back that time. If you feel like right now that your inventory is in such a state that you are dealing with that a lot, one of two things could be happening. One, you're growing, and so it may be time for you to hand that off to a service like a VA service or something to be able to handle that for you so that you can use that time that you were previously using doing that somewhere else. Or maybe you're sourcing products that are really crappy, and that is the reason why. So maybe you need to change one of your strategies. Even though it's profitable, it may be crappy, which means you're going to have a bunch of returns, and then you're going to be upside down in your business. And of course, if you're not looking at the numbers, you don't know you're upside down until you get to the end of the year and it's tax time. So relook at all of that. Are you investing or spending time on learning? I believe wholeheartedly everyone should invest at least an hour every single week on one thing. One thing. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. And it's a picture I go through every single month in the monthly eCom planning session. I feel like at the beginning of the year is always a great time to decide what you want to focus on for the year. And I remember the story of this 21-year-old, okay, and I'm not 21, of this 21-year-old who literally, I don't know how many millions of dollars they made by the time they were 21. But the one thing that they did do is they were intentional about their game plan. They built a game plan over like 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. I hope you can see it. So let's say that marketing is one of the things that you are challenged with. Marketing is your challenge. If marketing is your challenge, then let's say for your marketing plan and strategy that I want to get better at Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, Google ads, and YouTube ads. Let's just say that. So maybe the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March, I'm going to spend all of January for 1 hour every single week getting better at Google ads. 1 hour. By the end of January, I will have invested a full 4 hours of dedicated, focused time and energy in getting better at Google ads and YouTube ads. Okay. I will definitely be better at it than I was before. Now, do I need more time than just 1 hour? Yes. But the goal is, again, let's start with 1 hour. To understand it better, maybe it's something ultimately you're going to outsource, but to understand it better, to get better at it. Then let's say in February, I'm going to spend 1 hour every single week getting better at Facebook ads and Google and Instagram ads. Those are the things that I'm going to focus on. So now I've spent the first month in January focusing on YouTube and Google ads. February, 1 hour every single week. That's 4 hours. And then February, 4 hours total, 1 hour every week on Facebook ads and Instagram ads. You have to know that there's going to be some things about Google ads and YouTube ads that are going to transfer and make my learning about Facebook and Instagram ads much better, which means I'm going to get better at both simultaneously. And then March, I'm going to spend 1 hour every single week getting better at Pinterest ads and maybe TikTok ads. Okay. So now it's compounding. The learning that I'm doing and I'm focusing on marketing and ads is compounding at this point because of the fact that I am adding to and building up my knowledge as I go along by just committing 1 hour. Okay. So then let's say that's first quarter. Second quarter, let's say we're going to continue part of that ad strategy, but there's some other things that maybe I could get better at. Maybe I could get better at creating listings, and maybe I could get better at, we'll say, keyword research. All right. So April, May, June. April, I'm going to spend 1 hour each week focused on the platform's ad features. So Walmart's ad features. What do I need to know? What do I need to learn? What do I need to better understand? I'm going to spend 1 hour every single week, adding two. At this point, I'm compounding my learning around ads. Then I'm going to spend May focused on getting better at titles. I'm going to get better at titles. Maybe I do keyword research first. So I'll get better at keyword research. And so I'm going to spend May 1 hour every single week getting better at keyword research. So then in June, when I start working on my focus is going to be titles, all of the things that I learned in May, I can add that to June so that I can spend 1 hour every single week getting better at titles. You have to know that as I continue to invest 1 hour every single week in my business, intentionally, my business should be improving every single month because of the commitment and the investment that I am making in learning these skills. Learning these skills, maybe I'm going to offset some of this or outsource it to somebody. Maybe I'm going to use a tool, but my knowledge and my learning curve, even if I'm going to outsource it to a tool or I'm going to outsource it to a service, I understand better what I should be expecting back from that service. Sometimes we sign up for services and we don't even know what to expect back from them because we don't know enough. And so learning just 1 hour could change what happens with your relationship with any service that is doing work for you, because you're spending 1 hour. You're not spending 9 hours. You're not spending 20 hours. You're spending 1 hour every single week invested into one specific focused topic so that you can get better at it. And then if you did that we did first quarter and second quarter, if you did that same thing and decided what are the 3 things I'm going to focus on for third quarter, and then everything that you've learned from first quarter, second quarter, third quarter is going to have a direct impact on the results you get in fourth quarter, because you took the time and energy to invest little by little, piece by piece, in getting better at something. And all of those little things are going to add up. And so your results from last year and the results you get this year are going to be completely different because you made that investment in learning 1 hour every single week. I believe that. I believe it wholeheartedly. I listen to so many different people, but I've also implemented it into my life. Every year, I decide on what are my big 9 and where am I going to spend my time and what's my focus going to be this month. And so I listened to that young man, and he was very intentional about everything. He's like, I spent the first 3 months learning this, and I spent the next 3 months learning this, and I spent the next 3 months learning this. And then everything that he learned over time, it compounded, and his business just exploded because of that. And so now he's 21. And so I'm old. Okay. I'm just going to admit it. There's a little bit of envy and jealousy there. I'm going to have to get over it. But my point is, that was very wise of him to invest his energy in the right things, and he was focused for a period of time. So figure out what you need to do with your strategy and where you're going to focus your time and your energy. So when I talk about building a schedule, this is like a time block. It's a Pomodoro method, and you can choose whatever works for you. Some people don't like a tight schedule where everything is in time blocks. I prefer time blocks. That's just me. You can go with the checklist method. You can go with whatever method works for you. But building a schedule, I love to do it in Google Calendar because it's so much easier, but having dedicated time to focus on different things. So one thing directly has an impact on the next thing. If I'm doing product research and the next day after I've done the product research, maybe I'm going to go ahead and buy the inventory. I'm not necessarily going to buy it right then. I'm just doing product research or doing my analysis. And then I can decide where I'm going to buy when I'm doing the sourcing activity. Same thing with checking in on customer service. Again, don't be reacting to customer service. Make time for it so that way you're learning. You should be learning from any feedback you get from customers anyway. So be intentional about that, make time for it. Also learning. So in this one, you don't see learning. I normally do all the learning stuff and administrative stuff on Sundays, but again, this is a fake schedule, just so you know, it's a fake schedule. I was just building it for my class that I was teaching. But the point is, it's step by step walking you through some things to think about. Where do I spend my time? And if I'm doing my business myself, or if somebody else is helping me, maybe I'm outsourcing my images to someone, I'm outsourcing my creating of the listings to some other tool or whatever. Again, making time for those things. What are the different components of your business? And how much time are you really spending doing those things? And maybe you've never thought about that. And so hopefully this will trigger you to think about it. So wrapping this up. So there's a couple of things. If there are things that you feel like you're not doing right now in your business and you really want to have an immediate impact on it, then I would encourage you to set up a mini goal or a mini habit. A mini goal or a mini habit is something that's small and easily attainable. You can do it and it's too small to fail. So an example of that would be, maybe you're very inconsistent about creating listings. And so sometimes, this week I created 2 listings, and then the next week I create 15 listings. And then the week after that, I create 1 listing. And the week after that, I create 35 listings. Like, I'm all over the scoreboard with this creating listings thing. And so if you're trying to get some level of consistency, let's go through and say, okay, at a minimum, let's go over a 4-week period. I love 4-week periods. I love quarters. So for the first quarter, for the first 4-week period, the first week and the 4-week period, I'm going to just say I'm going to create 1 new listing every single day, no matter what. 7 days a week, I'm going to create a new listing. At the end of the week, I'll have 7 new listings. Then let's go with week 2. I'm going to create 2 listings every single day, no matter what. I got 14 listings at the end of the week. Add that to my 7 from the previous week. Then week 3, I create 3 new listings every single day, no matter what. At the end of a week, I have 21 listings. So the goal is to get to where's your end game? Is your end game to get to the place where you create 5 listings a day? Or is your end game to get to 50 new listings at the end of a week, or 100 new listings at the end of a week? What is your end game? Because if you've never thought about it, then think about it. If I say that I want to have 400 new listings at the end of a month, then I can reverse engineer that number and go, 400 new listings at the end of a month means I got to do 100 new listings every single week, which means if I'm working 5 days in a week at 400 new listings or 100 new listings a week, I got to do 25 listings a day, 20 listings a day, 5 days a week. So I got to do 20 listings a day, 5 days a week. That gives me 100 listings at the end of a week. At the end of a month, that's 400 new listings. So again, reverse engineer what's your goal. If you haven't established a goal, go create one. Okay. But set it up as a mini goal. If one of the things that you have been doing inconsistently or not at all is product research or keyword research, then just be intentional. I'm going to go ahead and do product research at least 2 times a week, no matter what. And then say and be specific. Which days am I actually doing product research? I'm going to do it on Mondays and I'm going to do it on Thursdays. So let's be intentional about what it is that we're trying to establish, the goals that we're trying to establish. Okay. Then the next one is habit stacking. So what are the things that you're doing or you need to do? And you're doing them, like, it can be put in the same stream or order. I don't even know that I'm saying any of that right. I have a thought in my mind and the words are not coming out the way I want them to. So let me just say this. An example would be your morning routine or your evening routine if you have kids. If you have kids, you can relate to this. You don't have kids, just think of something else. So morning routines for parents is like, it's all about trying to get the kid out the door to the school. That's the goal. And the nighttime routine is all about trying to get the kid in the bed. But what are all the little small steps that you got to do to get there? All the little pieces. So if I am thinking about the kid routine, I've got to get them up. You got to get face wash and teeth brushed, and you got to get, maybe some of them are taking a shower, maybe some of them aren't, depending on how old they are. Maybe you took a bath the night before. Then you got to get the clothes on, and you got to get some breakfast and get your backpack and get your lunch. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing. And sometimes in the morning, that routine can be like herding cats, makes you nuts. And sometimes that routine can execute flawlessly. Flawlessly doesn't happen all the time, but anyway. So the point is there's a sequence of activities that are happening. And sometimes you can insert one additional activity that needs to get knocked out anyway, and you can insert it into that routine because it's something that has to be done anyway. That's sort of a habit stack. So what are the habits, the routines that we're trying to establish? A routine around creating listings. There's a sequence of activities that happen. And so maybe right now you're random about your sequence of activities that happen when it comes to creating a listing. You got to have a title, you got to have a description, you got to have images, you got to know dimensions and sizes, depending on what it is you're selling, or what colors, or what flavors, or what weight and ounces and all of that stuff. You got to know it. If you don't know it, where in your routine of executing this can you improve it so that you can take something that maybe was taking you 30 minutes to do and collapse it down to 15, because you've got it out of sequence right now. So look at a routine that maybe you have around your business and see if you're doing it in the most efficient way possible. If you're not, you can buy back some time if you can improve your efficiency. And then the last one is time blocks. Again, there's so many I can go through. Like, I have a long list. If you ever download, you can go to the e-commerce planning Facebook group and you can download the monthly ecom planning checklist and the weekly ecom planning checklist, and you will see all of the different schedule and time management things that we've written up. But basically, these are the three that I think will have the most impact on your business. And a time block is having a dedicated amount of time for a specific activity, and you're focused at that time. If you don't have time blocks for your business, if you're randomly working it, sometimes you get started at 9, and sometimes you get started at 11, and sometimes you don't do the business at all today. Then the next day you're just like, okay, well, if you're working randomly in your business, you're going to start getting random results. So if you don't want random results, then be intentional so you can get intentional results. That's what you need to do. So look at your schedule, see what you're doing, write down what you're really doing. Be honest with yourself, and then you can go back and analyze it so you can fix it and make changes. The best description of this is when someone is going through a weight loss routine. Their coach, their fitness coach, and maybe their dietitian is going to say, just write down what you're eating for the week. And then they may say, write down what you're doing, what physical activity you're doing for the week. They don't want you to lie about it. They don't want you to, over exaggerate about it. They just want to know what you're doing in real time so we can find little places where we can make small, tiny adjustments over time to get you where you want to be. This is what you're doing with your current schedule in your business. Making small, first you got to write it out and be honest about it. And then you can come back and look at it from a different lens and make small, tiny adjustments to help you to get where you want to be in your business. Okay. So I have, these big blocks. There's big blocks when it comes to your business. Think about first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. What do you want to improve? What do you want to change? What do you want to do differently? The things that we don't want to ignore and we don't want to avoid is all of the stuff that's in blue on the left. Your personal life matters, your spiritual life, your health, your fitness, your family, your finances, the fun, other, and your household. Like, all of that stuff matters, and you have to make time for that. So be intentional about those things for sure, but also figure out how you can build a more effective schedule around your business operation, your customer service, your listings, your sourcing, your research, your shipping, your marketing, your learning, and all the administrative tasks that people like to avoid. People love to avoid the administrative tasks. We already know that. Those are things that you really should know a little bit about. You can't run from them forever. The tax man cometh all the time. So a schedule followed will help you gain consistency. Consistency will help you develop habits. Going back to what I was saying before, habits. What are the habits that you actually have in your business? Do you feel like you have good habits? Do you feel like you got bad habits? Let's fix some of those habits. And the habits will help you build the momentum in your business. So the habits are what's going to help you build the momentum. It's going to help you to build the productivity. That's the thing we need to fix. Go back and look at your schedule. Look at your routine. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself about the questions, about how you're running your business. And then let's work to make some adjustments. Okay. So your focus, your mindset, your time management, and your consistency are keys to you winning. I agree with that 1000%. They are the keys. So I just want to say, if you grab the All Access Pass, I am giving 200 wholesale supplier list out to those people who grab the all access pass, plus an e-commerce marketing calendar to everyone who wants to like be on top of this, be consistent about what's happening. In addition to that, I just, if you want to grab the 90-day ecom planner, if you're having a hard time getting focused and organized, the 90-day ecom planner for Walmart will help you to do that. And if you want to connect with me, you can definitely connect with me on all those places, and you can email me. Plus, you can schedule a free coaching session. Maybe you want to do a one-on-one just to talk about planning your business and putting together a more effective schedule to help you to be more productive. You can definitely schedule some time with me by going to bit.ly/free e-commerce coaching. So I hope this information is a blessing to you and your business. I hope you guys enjoy the summit. Thank you again to Nechole and Norm, and you all have a blessed one. We'll say goodbye for now. Don't forget to get the all access pass. Bye, guys.